Welcome to the Bulletproof Podcast. My name is Gary Clinton, Gary Coach Clinton. I go boy, and I hope you have an amazing day today. In this episode, I'm going to talk to you about the beauty of being different and how this relates to a superstar, sports star, athlete, or an actor, or someone that we may look up to in some way, shape, or form. You might not look up to anyone. I hear people say that a lot. I don't look up to anyone. I look to my parents, which is also a good, beautiful example as well. That's a good sentence. Saying you don't look up to anyone is a bit ridiculous in my mind, because then how do you know or rationalize what a good role model is? And I think in this day and age, we've lost that sense of a good role model. And I hopefully pride myself on being a good role model. I try to be. And in this episode, I want to share the uniqueness, the beauty of being different. And I'm going to relate them examples by telling you the superstars or the actors or the people that we do possibly look up to. So without that being said, the sponsor of this podcast is Quasi.com and upskillonline.org. And both of these, travel website for Quasi.com and a course website for Upskill Online. And Upskill Online, the links will be in the description of this episode, and you get 10 free courses. You have to search up the free course sections. There's 10 free courses out of 180 courses. And Quasi, you get discounted flights and hotels when you're going away. With that being said, this episode is a very interesting one to me. And we often know that, sports stars, actors, they've worked on their craft for 15, 20, 30 years. And maybe you've worked in your job for 15, 20, 30 years. And that's a long time. Are you happy with them results? I'm not sure. Now, if you had to dedicate your time or your life to a hobby for them time, would you have got somewhere in your life? I think it's pretty obvious to say yes. With that being said, this new interesting thing, let's say you're into football, for example, or you're into the Olympics. I think I might use the Olympic example. I usually use football. I've done this when I did a speech in front of a football training academy, which is an amazing experience. And this, what I'm about to say, is relevant to anyone here. The Olympics, we all know what the Olympics is. So with the Olympics, they have a variety of countries, right? And with the countries, they all compete in a different thing. So let's say table tennis, for example. It wouldn't be the thing that I actually probably would watch it. In fact, I probably would watch table tennis. I don't know if I'd watch. I was about to say javelin, but I probably would watch javelin. I don't know why there's a bit of interest in them. What's something that I wouldn't watch? I don't know, the horse jumping. I wouldn't watch the horse jumping. Again, each to their own. And this episode's about being unique and different. So you might be into that. I'm not into that. Anywho, with that being said, here we are on this beautiful day in this beautiful life, and we're going to talk about being different. Every country has a different individual or a different athlete. Now, when they do the swimming, let's say there's swimming and there's 8 swimmers. I think that's the first sport to go. So with the swimmers, cool. We've got 8 swimmers lined up, and they're all from different countries, maybe same countries. Some of them are 2 of them. And all of these are competing in the same exact race. The end goal, they've trained 15 years to get to that goal. They've trained 15 years to be on the Olympic stage to go this 100-meter swim. I don't even know if it's 100 meters, honestly. It could be 50 and 50. I don't know what it is. With that being said, I think I've said with that being said about 5 times in this episode so far. We're getting back in the swing of things. Okay, we're here. We're here after a long time, but we're here now. Now, these elite athletes are what? They're all going to use probably the same stroke as probably a breaststroke, or if it's, I don't know, the overhand, whatever that's called, the normal swim, I'd say. They're all going to use the same technique. They're all in the same race, the same distance. But what is absolutely true, that each and every one of these athletes are completely different. And I use this example with football. I'm talking about Manchester City team. Again, I was in a football academy. What's the great thing about Kevin De Bruyne or Bernardo Silva? They play in the same position, give or take. And are they the same? No, they're absolutely not the same. They've got a different playing style. Rodri, I suppose, in centre defensive mid, he's got a different playing style. Every single one of those players have a different playing style. Now, I'm trying to let something sink in there. And what I'm trying to let something sink in is the fact that we literally have the cards that we were dealt. And with these cards, we get to play the cards. You can model off someone. You can learn a technique, get faster by having a coach or having an understanding, a professional coach, like in terms of a personal trainer or an NBA coach if you want to do basketball, right? But every single basketballer is different to the other person beside them. Every single footballer is different to the person beside them. And this is an empowering thing. Why is this empowering? Because then you don't need to be someone else. You can actually be yourself more. And what I mean by that, it sounds so, I don't know if that's cliche or ridiculous or it sounds ridiculous, but listen to it. You don't need to be someone else. You don't need to try to be someone else or try to be harder or be different. You're completely unique in your quirkiness. I think that's the right phrase. Your the personality, your work ethic, and you can play on them strings. And to play on them strings more is actually the point of this episode, in fact. Lean into who you already are. Lean into that discipline. Lean into that hobby that you're doing so long. You do something different in training compared to someone else, or you do something different in work to someone else. You don't need to doubt it. For example, let's say you're in work, you send an email, and you're like, oh my God, what my boss think? It's like, your boss is definitely going to think something else. Or you're in football and you make a different decision compared to another player who would make this decision, they give out to you. They're giving out to you because they would make a different decision. And this is again building you up because you can stand strong in your own certainty that you are doing this before you or you making the right decision. It's almost like being, I think probably all the athletes are stubborn in many ways, but it's stubborn in a positive way. That where you're standing strong in your own willingness, your own confidence. And stubborn is actually a very interesting, like positive, negative word. It's really in the middle or on the negative. It's fascinating how I think back in the day it was a very negative word, but now you're being strong. Well, that's how I see it. That's how I see it, at least. You're being strong by making them decisions and sticking to them, and you don't need to have doubt. Right? Add this in as a caveat. Just like if you send the email, you don't need to think what's that person going to think of the email. You can stand strong, and I have good intention inside of my body. I have good intention inside of my mind, so I'm going to send this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to act like this because I am doing it for me, because I don't need to be X, Y, Z. That kind of rhymed. So I hope you're picking up what I'm putting down. Or at least I'll pick up what you're putting down. I'll do the work. The overall part and particular beauty of this, again, when I was giving this speech to the footballers, if I was trying to teach them that because they don't have the agility like Bernardo Silva, doesn't mean that they can't be Rodri. Because Rodri has a certain position, doesn't mean you can't be Kevin De Bruyne. Because you're not as fast as Kyle Walker. I've got Manchester United a calendar over here, and I'm talking about Manchester City. Just because you don't have the same agility as that other person who you think is better than you in this area of your life, just because you don't have this particular characteristic, this particular persona, doesn't mean that yours isn't beautiful. The fact that you compare yourself negatively is obviously having a negative effect on yourself. So as you go throughout this day, throughout this week, you are beautiful, you are whole, you are amazing. You truly are amazing, although our mind can convince us that we're very, very far away from amazing. But the more you believe and convince yourself that you're not, or believe yourself that you're not, I think belief is another episode. Anyways, it's a different conversation. And personal development industry, I'm talking about belief is very interesting. Believe it and then you'll see it. But how do I know if I'm believing it? And then if I'm believing it, then I'm acting it. But then if I'm acting it, am I believing it? Because I still have doubt when I'm doing it. So, and you'll believe when you have the result. Well, how do I get the result? Oh my God. It's a different conversation, different topic for another day. Very interesting conversation, in fact, for me at least. I'd like to explore with someone. In this episode, we talked about the beauty of being different. What do I mean by that? Well, you can stand strong in your actions. That's basically it. You don't need to have any doubt when you're making your decision making. It's never going to be good enough for someone else. Someone else has a different personality, different growing up, different upbringing. It's going to be a different paradigm, belief system, ideology, and they're not going to have the same thing and focus as you. So you can just say, well, I had good intention in my soul, my body, my mind, and you did a good thing. I'm not saying do something ridiculous and do something negative with the world. I'm saying do something great and be proud of that you did that thing. And you don't need to let people doubt get inside of your mind at any stage. Doesn't make any sense. Have a beautiful, blessed day. The sponsor of this podcast, Causey.com and Upskill Online, are in the descriptions of this podcast and this video. And I hope you have an amazing day today. My name is Gary Coach Clinton. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you.